Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody out there. I'm doing a Right Riches for You taster. I've got Facebook straight ahead in this camera. Hello. I've got Instagram over here to the side. So just so you guys know, if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at Facebook. If I'm looking over here, I'm looking at Instagram. Hello and welcome to Right Riches for You taster. I am Shannon O'Hara. Welcome to what money can be for you. What is your reality with money? And let's actually create the life living in reality that works for you. So everyone who's hopping on, hello, good to see you. Once again, I'm Shannon O'Hara. I'm doing Facebook in this camera. I'm doing Instagram in this camera. If you see me looking over here, if I'm looking at Instagram, hello, Instagram. If you see me looking over here, I'm looking at Facebook. Hello, Facebook. So Right Riches for You. Right Riches for You is co-authored by Gary Douglas, my dad, and Dr. Dane here. And before this was a book, this was a class. And my dad did the first Right Riches for You class when I was I think I was 22 years old, somewhere around there, young. By the way, everybody who's just hopping on, I feel I don't know why I put this so early. It's 6 o'clock in the morning in Australia. I don't know why I did it at this time in the morning. I used to be very awake at 6 o'clock in the morning. I am still waking up. So if I look tired or I look like I just rolled out of bed, it's because I did, literally. It's so nice to have everybody here for Right Riches for You. Okay, so before Right Riches for You was a book, it was a class, and the book obviously came from the class. And my dad did the class when I was in my really early 20s, and at that point in my life, I was a very righteous hippie. I had just dropped out of art school, and I was living in my awesome converted VW van because I wanted to. And I had huge credit card debt, which is very common for young people in America. And I had no clue what I wanted to do, where I was going. And my dad was doing this Right Riches class, and I thought I would just go because I could. And so I went. And in the class, he made this very clear distinction of, do you like money or do you hate money? And he went on farther to say that if you are having money problems, if you have any problem with money, any stress with money, any difficulty with money, it's because you don't like money. And so I was complaining to him about my money situation. He said, well, do you love or hate money? And I was like, I had no idea. And when he asked me, I was like, And I knew I was supposed to say I liked it. Like, I felt like I should like money because I wanted it. So obviously I must like it because I want it, right? But I really sat with that question, and I started seeing all of the places that I was extremely resentful towards money and judgmental towards money. And I basically saw money as the enemy. I saw it as the reason I had problems, the reason the world had problems. It was like, it wasn't for money, the world, people wouldn't be fracking and oil drilling and deforesting. And if it wasn't for money, everyone would get along better. If money's the problem, money is the issue. And I realized I actually hated money. I thought money was the absolute number one problem. And when I realized that I hated money was the first shift in being able to create a life living in reality that was my reality with money and riches. And it took me years to create it, but I'm happy to say that 20 years since that first Right Riches for You class. So I'm 42 this year, and I believe that first Right Riches for You class when I was 22. So 20 years down the road, I have been implementing and using the very basic, this is not rocket science, tools, philosophies, and points of view in this book to become a multimillionaire. So if you would like to find out what is right for you with money, what is right riches for you, what's your right way to be rich, like what is rich for you? I really encourage you at the very least to get a copy of this book. We'll put, just search Right Riches for You, Gary Douglas. It's for sale on Amazon. It's for sale on Audible. We have Megan Hill reads the Right Riches for You audiobook. You can get it on Audible. You can get it on other audiobook platforms. It's for sale on the Access website. It's easy to find it. Right Riches for You, Gary Douglas. At the very least, check this out. And then at the very second least, do yourself a favor and actually apply this stuff. So I remember I did that Right Riches for You class with my dad all those years ago. And that was one of the main things that came out of that was, do you love or hate money? And I realized I hated money and that I had no idea what liking money. I had no idea what even having peace with money was. And one of the things that he suggested, which I find is a thing that a lot of people really struggle with, but I'm going to bring it up for whatever reason. I'm bringing it up in this free taster, so take it or leave it. Basically, he suggested you need to duplicate the energy of people who have the financial or money reality that you want. And I started looking around in the world and being like, well, what financial reality do I want? Like, what money reality is there? Like, what's possible? Because what I had known was, I grew up in a household where money was such a source of stress and conflict. And I know I'm talking about my dad wrote this book and my dad did the Right Riches for You class, and he did. But before he did that, he was married to my mom, and he and my mom were together for 15 years. And they filed bankruptcy probably 7 times together. So in the US, for those of you guys that aren't American, bankruptcy is where you basically you file bankruptcy and all of your debts all of your debts are absolved. And you also then have zero credit. And it's something that is done in America. And they did it quite a lot. And there was just huge financial stress in the household. So I duplicated that, basically, financial stress. And I started looking around at what was possible, what kind of money reality do I want to have? And I knew one person. Out of the hundreds of people that I knew and have known, I knew one person, and her name was Curry Glassell. And she was the daughter of a Texas oil billionaire. And I knew her by way of Access Consciousness. Oh, by the way, this is published by Access Consciousness Publishing. Sorry. Access Consciousness, those of you guys, I don't know who's tuning in right now, or can we see it? I don't know who's tuning in, or if you guys know that Right Riches for You is, can't see it on Facebook, I don't think, but on Instagram, you can see Access Consciousness Publishing. Access Consciousness is the subsidiary of Right Riches for You. So Right Riches for You is a specialty or a tributary of Access Consciousness, and Access Consciousness is the main body of work, of tools, processes to facilitate the expansion and growth of consciousness. So we use the tools of Access to facilitate the expansion, growth, possibility of your consciousness in relationship to money. And who couldn't use more ease, joy, and glory with money, So my point was, I knew Curry from Access, and I had the pleasure of spending quite a bit of time with her in Texas and going to her house and just knowing her as a friend and a person. And there was this weird energy at her house that I was aware of, but I didn't know what I was perceiving. And when I started asking questions about, well, what is the energy of loving money? What is the energy of having peace with money? I remembered being at her house and the energy that was there and the space that was there. And I was like, whoa, that was the first piece of what having peace and ease with money was. And so I started duplicating that. Now, a lot of you guys are going to ask, how do you duplicate stuff? You just do. It's not hard. And the way that most of us have gotten the way that you've gotten to where you are today as an adult is by duplicating somebody or multiple people. It's like, how many of you guys have ever noticed that you're being just like one of your parents? You're saying something just like them, or your body's expressing something just like them, or you know you're being just like one of your parents. You got like that by duplicating one of your parents. And so duplication is not a problem. It's what you duplicate that you want to be conscious about. How many of you guys have duplicated people who hate money? And is that working for you? You know? And it's like, if you want to change something going on in your life, you've got to energetically shift to what creates that change. So this is coming, all of the Access money tools and philosophies are definitely not a get rich quick scheme. They are also not, how do I put this? I would say that the Access tools and philosophies can be very challenging in their simplicity because they don't just change your financial situation, they fundamentally deeply change you. It's this deep change of your psychology, of your reality, of what you believe, how you perceive, what you choose, that then alters the way that money shows up in your reality. So we're not, essentially, one of the things that's also in this book and Gary, my dad, teaches in a lot of other money workshops and stuff, is that money's not the problem, you are. And he has another book titled that, Money's Not the Problem, You Are. And in that book, he talks about that you don't have a money problem, you have a receiving problem. And so to really adjust to change the way that money shows up in your life, or that anything that you'd like to have shows up in your life, you have to not work on the subject, you have to work on the receiving. Increasing receiving. And receiving is this very natural sort of free thing that all of us have available to us that so much of us are entrained or we duplicate away from. Receiving is completely unconditional. And frankly, I think receiving is not that popular because it can be very intense in that you don't get to choose what you receive. You receive everything, like a tree, for example. So I think a beautiful example of receiving is demonstrated by nature. And if you see, so like the sun, or excuse me, the tree receives from the sun, like all plants receive from the sun via photosynthesis. They receive from the sun, they convert the energy of the sun into leaves, fruit, syrups, shade, and in so doing, they gift of what they generate. Trees also receive from the rain, they receive toxic waste, they receive being cut down, and they never stop being a gift. It's like even when a tree is cut down, it continues to gift of its timber in a lot of circumstances for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, depending on how that timber was treated. So the tree doesn't have a condition on what it receives and never stops gifting. It's like if you don't pick the if you don't pick the tree, if you don't pick the fruit of the tree, does the tree stop fruiting? Never. Have you stopped being fruitful in your gifting of joy, ease, generosity? Are you fruitful, or do you feel deficient? Do you feel lacking in some way? And the fact of the matter is, an infinite being could never lack. So in Access, we also have the philosophy that we are all infinite beings. It's not even a philosophy. I'm going to go ahead and say fact. We're all infinite beings. And I don't mean this just on an airy-fairy level. This is even scientifically proven. All energy is infinite. There is no limit. In fact, there is a dynamic, elegant interconnectedness of energy, i.e. oneness, that is real. And the way the universe is designed And the way that it's set up is that you as an infinite being would ask and receive and gift of your being. And that, my friends, is the core philosophy and substantiation of how Right Riches for You works. The more you're willing to function from infinite being, be the infinite being you truly be, duplicate infinite energy rather than duplicating the limitations, the points of view that everybody else has about what's possible, the more the universe can gift to you. And I don't know about you guys, but it's like, I know that throughout my life, I didn't receive what was possible for me because I didn't want to make other people feel bad, or because I didn't want to have the advantage, or because it made me too different. So how many of you guys reject the richness, the wealth of consciousness, the contribution that's available for you, to you in your unique way, because you don't see anyone else doing it? You don't see anyone else having it. Or you see other people having, limitations or struggle in some way, and there must be something right and relevant about the limitations that other person's having, or, can't be that easy for me. If it was that easy for me, why wouldn't everybody else be doing it? And if everybody else isn't doing it, surely, I'm wrong. What if it is easy? What if all of life does come to you with ease, joy, and glory? And what if it's up to you to receive that and have the reality that's possible for you? So what is your reality with money? So this is a big question that I would say my dad gave to me years and years ago as well. What's your reality with money? And I remember he gave it in a class, and I was so excited. He said, go write down, if I had my reality with money, what would it look like? What would it feel like? What would it be like? And I was like so excited. I couldn't wait to go and get my notebook out and write it down. So I wrote at the top of the page, if I had my reality with money, what would it look like, feel like, and be like? And then I just went clunk. I had no idea. I knew what my mom's reality with money was. I knew what my dad's reality with money was. I knew what everyone else's points of view and realities with money was, but I had no idea what mine was. And I stayed in the question of, if I had my reality with money, what would it be like? It took me 3 weeks of asking the question every single day. And I woke up one morning, and the first element of my reality with money was there, and it was joy. And I knew it. And I knew that was the first element of my reality with money. And so I quickly wrote it down. Joy was at the top of my list. So I knew based on that, are we having technical difficulties?
The sound is really not great.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep, guys, we're aware there's a sound problem. Max is trying to fix it. No sound problem on Instagram, though. So go Instagram. Got 195 people watching on Instagram. Because there's not any resistance to joy with money, right? We wouldn't have a sound problem, right? As people are starting to break into their reality with money. Can they not hear me at all on the camera?
It's got like a pretty loud electrical noise.
How does that sound now, guys, on Facebook?
Still not good. I'm listening to it on here. Let me just see if it changes.
Well, everyone, feel free, who's on Facebook, hop on my Instagram account, because I'm there too, and there's no sound problem on Instagram. So if it's bothering you, go on Instagram.
Oh, now it's good.
Okay.
Wow.
Good.
Wow. Weird. Sorry, guys.
Did anybody have any resistance to joy with money? We always get technical problems at very specific points. Oh, you guys are going to hear a blender in a second downstairs too. My stepdaughter's making a smoothie. So the first element of my reality with money was joy. And so I quickly wrote it down. And what that informed me was that every time I wasn't having joy with money, I wasn't being me. So it's super important that you know what your reality with money is, because then you can be you with money. And crazy idea. What if you have an ability with money what if money can come to you in totally unique ways that doesn't match other people's realities? How much of that are you eliminating to be like other people? So with the Right Riches for You tools, we're really going to get into like, what's your way with money? And that's why it's called Right Riches for You, not like get right with riches in this reality. We mean, what's your way? And I've got news for you. Money is not a one size fits all. Money can come in so many diverse, dynamic ways. Oh, there's the blender. If anyone hears a loud noise in the background, there's a smoothie being made in the kitchen. So everywhere that you're trying to fit into somebody else's point of view about money, will you destroy and uncreate all that? All the points of view that you have about money that make money stressful, difficult, mysterious, hard, we destroy and uncreate all those. So the first page in the Right Riches for You book is this. Changing the way you view things. I think on the camera you can really see it weirdly. I don't know why. On the Facebook camera. If you're like most people, you have many points of view about money that you're not even aware that you have. And that's where this whole thing starts. You have many points of view about money that you're not even aware that you have. So the tool is to destroy and uncreate all of the points of view that you have that you're not even aware that you have that aren't working for you. First, you gotta clear that. You gotta change that. Then you gotta learn how to actually be a generative source of money, which, by the way, is absolutely possible, and I believe I'm a master at. So I cannot wait to work with those of you guys that do desire to have more. But I will warn you, to have more, to receive more riches, more wealth, more freedom, more possibility, more whatever it is that's valuable to you, you will have to become more as well. Receiving is directly linked to being. And if you desire greater, you're going to have to be greater. So I will warn you, there is that ask of you and that possibility. Okay. Sorry, blender. I don't know if you guys can hear. Okay, hopefully you guys can't hear that too much. So I love you guys. At the very least, and I'm doing a Right Riches for You class. That's that's the whole point. Well, it's not the whole point, but that is something that I invite each and every one of you guys to. I think there's a prerequisite of Access Foundation. I hope there's a prerequisite of Access Foundation. There's a prerequisite of Access Foundation. And if there isn't, there is now. And this is my first Right Riches for You class. I have facilitated many other money classes, but I realized that everything that I was facilitating, I learned from Right Riches for You. So then I just chose to do the Right Riches for You, do it under the banner of Right Riches for You. And sorry, can you ask her to turn the blender off or something, honey?
It's not.
Oh.
It's like a little bit.
Can anybody hear the blender? Okay, no, I'm not seeing anybody can hear the blender. We don't hear the blender. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So, doing my first Right Riches for You class starting March 11th. And you can do that introduction evening. So it'll be a 2-hour introduction evening and then followed by a weekend of class. And I invite you, it's like, the money thing is always an interesting conversation for me. It's an area that I'm extremely enthusiastic about, but I find that people are very fixed and very, I would even say, kind of borderline insane, because money is directly related to receiving. And money is such a huge, money is such a huge power. Like, money is a power. Some of us might not want to believe it, but it is. So in order to have money, you have to be willing to have that power. And if you believe that power is bad or that you're going to do harm or that, money is the root of all evil, like I believed, you'll be avoiding that power at all costs. And then if you have money and if you have ease with money, is that invalidating? Who is that invalidating? Is having ease with money allowed? Are you allowed to have ease with money? If you didn't have a money problem, then what excuse would you have? There's so many things that money touches onto. So I invite you to access consciousness. I invite you to whatever it is that you're looking for. It's like, what is possible for you? What is truly possible for you? Check out the book. I believe it's in English. I think it's in Russian. Gosh, God bless Russia right now. All of my Access friends in Russia, my heart goes out to you guys. What a mess. Anyways, I believe this is translated into Russian. Maybe everyone should read this for Russia right now, whose currency just went down to being worth 1 cent, 1 US cent. Yeah. And now what's possible? It's like, I love this question. It's like, if the currency that we know it to be today, like if currency as we know it today went away, then what? We would all still be trading. How would we trade? So I could talk about money all day long. Sorry, Max is fiddling with.
Well, it's the audience.
We'll finish. Let's finish. Yeah. We'll finish. Audio's bad on Facebook again because people are crazy about money. See you guys live in Mexico City for Right Riches for You, or online. You can join online. Please check the class out. It'll be linked everywhere for you. If you just search me, you'll see Right Riches for You. Check out the book. Love you guys. What's it going to take for money to be ease, joy, and glory for all of us? Bye, guys.